Hey everyone, Dr. Richard Lai here with Study Acupuncture with me. First, I just want to say that I hope you're doing great and thank you for spending this time with me. I actually recently got a really nice email from someone. They told me that they were going to listen to every episode while they went on a road trip. And it's kind of surreal. It feels like I'm in a dream when I hear comments like that, so thank you for that positive comment. Alright, so quick reminder to go to my website, www.studyacuwithme.com, and sign up for my email list. Signing up for the email list gets you free study guides with each podcast episode, so please go sign up right now. Now, today's episode is all about the kidney organ and its functions, and next week we're going to review the functions of the pericardium. So before we get into all of that and more, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Alright, so let's talk about the functions of the kidney. So when we talk with our patients, sometimes we mention an issue about their kidney energy, and they do get scared. So it's important that we educate on the function of the kidney organ in traditional Chinese medicine. Because although someone's kidney energy may be weak, it doesn't necessarily mean that their kidney organ itself is having issues. For example, we have patients who are on dialysis. Someone who's on dialysis has diminished kidney function. The kidney is supposed to help us to filter out bad stuff. So if they're on dialysis, it's because their kidney isn't filtering out all of that bad stuff. So they have to go to dialysis where they're hooked up to a machine that cleans their blood out for them. So from our perspective, from a TCM perspective, there's a crossover with that function in that the kidney has a function to control water. Basically, the kidneys are like a gate. That gate can open and close, and body fluids will either flow or they won't. And if our body's kidney yin and kidney yang energy are well balanced, then there's going to be a good balance between the gate opening and closing. But if, for example, there's kidney yang deficiency, then that gate is going to be too open. And what's going to happen? There's going to be too many body fluids that are flowing. And as we know, with kidney yang deficiency, one of the key manifestations is abundant clear urination. And that's because the gate is open. And the flip side is kidney yin deficiency. Now with kidney yin deficiency, we have scanty urination. And sometimes we have dark urination. And that's because the gate is closed. So that's why the body fluid is going to flow less. Now, the most important function of the kidney is that the kidney stores essence. The kidney governs birth. The kidney governs growth. It governs reproduction, and it governs development. All of this means that the kidney governs all the various stages of life that we go through. And if we want to be even more specific, kidney jing, or kidney essence, governs all those various stages. Kidney jing governs growth. Kidney jing governs reproduction. It governs our development. It governs how we mature, how we age. It governs when we get our puberty, our menopause, and even how close we get to death. Now, kidney jing also determines something known as the 7-year cycle and the 8-year cycle. Now, there's a 7-year cycle in women and an 8-year cycle in men. If you don't know what that is, it's basically that there's a flow of essence in men and women, which flow in a 7-year cycle and an 8-year cycle. So during that flow, it's going to mature and cause growth in men and women differently. So for men, the cycle's every 8 years. For women, the cycle's every 7 years. So for example, with women, at 7 years old, the kidney energy is going to be really abundant. They're going to have baby teeth that's going to fall out, and their hair is going to grow really luscious. Then 7 years later, at 14 years old, another thing happens. The Tian Gui arrives. Their directing vessel flows. Their penetrating vessel flourishes. Now, Tian Gui here just means the egg and the menstrual blood arrives at 14. So every 7 years, something else occurs. Now, for men, it's an 8-year cycle, which means every 8 years, something occurs. At 8 years old, for example, the kidney energy for a boy is abundant. Their hair and teeth is going to grow. Then 8 years later, at 16 years old, that's when the Tian Gui arrives. Now, Tian Gui here means sperm. And every 8 years after that, another stage is going to come until we get to the later stages. At the later stages, that's where you see things start to diminish. For example, at 48 years old, the yang qi is exhausted. The face darkens. The hair turns gray. And I'm not going to depress you with the other things that happen after that, but they are in the study guide that I emailed as part of this podcast. So make sure you get on that email list so you don't miss out on any episodes. Now, don't worry, if you're not on the email list right now, you're not going to miss out on any of the study guides because I rotate them on a monthly basis and I email them to every subscriber that I have. So you're going to get an email with this study guide as part of the monthly rotation. So that's essentially the function of storing essence, governing birth, growth, reproduction, and development. Now, next, the kidney has a function to produce marrow, to fill up the brain, to control the bones. Now here, the kidney essence actually plays a really important role in this function because kidney essence, number one, is what produces the marrow. And this marrow in turn actually produces the spinal cord. That spinal cord eventually fills up the brain. So the marrow, the spinal cord, and the brain, they're all basically manifestations of marrow. Now, number two, the kidney essence is what nourishes the bones. It nourishes the bone through the marrow. So the kidney has a function to produce marrow, fill up the brain, and control the bones. Now, the next function is that the kidney controls the reception of qi. Now, what this means is that the kidney plays an important role in respiration, in your breathing. And when you breathe in air, the lungs and the kidneys, they work together to make sure that that air qi comes in and gets to fill up as much of your respiratory volume as possible. Now, if there's a malfunction to the energy of the kidney, then the kidney's not going to be able to hold the air qi. It's not going to bring it down. And that air can actually rebel upwards. And that upward rebellion can cause our patient to have symptoms like breathlessness and asthma. All right, next, let's talk about the 3 things that the kidney controls. Now, number 1, the kidney controls spittle. Now, spittle is a thick fluid that collects in the back of your throat. And what it does is that it moistens your kidney organ. And it's supposed to also nourish your kidney essence. Now, the thing with kidney essence, it basically has 2 parts. There's pre-heaven and there's post-heaven. Pre-heaven essence is what we get from our parents. It's what we're made of. It's our genes. It's our constitution. And then there's post-heaven essence. Now with post-heaven essence, that's what we get from our food and basically what we can replenish through recovery. Now number 2, the kidney controls the lower orifices. Now an orifice is an opening. So there's 2 lower orifices. One is in the front, one is in the back. The front one is the urethra, and the back one is the anus. So the kidney controls these 2 orifices. It influences their normal function. Now in men, there's the urethra and there's also the spermatic duct. So the kidney influences the functioning of those orifices. So if there's kidney energy weakness, there could be some leaking in these orifices. So our patients could have manifestations like urinary incontinence, bowel incontinence, diarrhea. All right, and lastly, number 3, the kidney controls the gate of life. Now, the gate of life is also known as the minister fire, and there's a fire at this gate of life. And this fire is really important because this fire provides heat to our entire body, and it provides the power for all of our bodily functions. One of those functions is our sexual function. So if this fire is weakened, then there could be diminished sexual function. There could be lower libido. There could also be infertility. Now there's other organs that could be also affected by this diminished fire as well. For example, the spleen. The spleen needs heat to transform and transport. The stomach needs heat to rotten and ripen. The heart needs heat to house the mind. The lungs need heat to descend and disperse. So all organs need heat to function appropriately, and the fire at the gate of life provides that heat. All right, now lastly, let's talk about a saying of the kidney, which is that the kidney houses the willpower. So the kidney is the residence, it's the house of willpower. Willpower is our determination, our initiation, our motivation, our drive. So when you're treating your patients, and it seems like your patient just seems to lack willpower, lack motivation, they don't want to initiate anything. So we have to realize the kidney controls willpower. So the kidney in this clinical sense should be addressed. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, I appreciate you for spending this time with me. And if it's your first time here, I welcome you. And I just remind you again to make sure that you're on the email list. How do you get on the email list? Go to www.studyaccuwithme.com and fill out that quick, easy short form to get on the study guide email list. All right, everyone, until next time, God bless and happy studying.